All right. Well, so we meet again. This is a little different interview that we're going to do today. And I have all of well, not all, but a lot of the legacy team together, and it's time for you all to meet them, who does all this work behind the scenes. And if I was going to quote Patti Smith, it's called the angels are calling, because where did you all come from? I don't know, but but I am so excited to have you meet them, because they bring to this whole project their heart, their talent, and their dedication. And so, with that, I would like you to meet Matt Meers, who is the curator of the Legacy Project, and you know that you have uncovered so much, and you're going the long haul. You can never leave us. I want you to meet Rachel Hawkins, who was James's student, and she holds the key of his technical ability as an artist, on how he mixes colors, how he sees light, how we see the light on his paintings. And then the amazing Rhiannon Wallace, who's part of the legacy team. And James always believed in the idea of master's apprentice. So from James to at the point he couldn't paint again, and he, had Rachel paint out into the world for him, to Rachel taking that craft and dedication to Rihanna, and Rihanna will pay it forward to the next generation. But that's not all. You never get to see Melanie. 1 second. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. This is Melanie Myers. I could not do this without her, because I'm a nightmare with social media, and she does all of the videography as well with Corey Myers also, that you'll meet at one point. And a while back, I tried to do social media, and I was an absolute failure. And I called Melanie. I said, Melanie, I need help. She's like, oh, I can give you 2 hours. I'm like, no, Melanie, I need you here every week. And she is. So with that, welcome to the James Yale Legacy Project. What do you think James' inspiration was as an artist?
Nature. Just everything he saw. He just saw it in a different way.
Can you elaborate on that? Because, for me, what I am getting from James now, even though he's not on planet Earth, and he's asking us to look deeper into his paintings now. But he's asking us not just to look deeper into his painting, but all of art and all of nature.
He looked at things with a sense of humor that was very calm, and had a great satire, even in any situation. And he taught me how to see. Because you think, you look, it's kind of like listening and hearing. Just because you look at something, you're not really seeing it. So how to break it apart, how to look at it intensely, and then be able to step away and see the bigger picture. But he used that also in life. He started out as a teacher, ended up as a friend and a mentor that I greatly valued. And I feel like I was very blessed to have had him in my life.
Well, and it continues. Did any of you what do you think his inspiration was?
I was just about to say the same thing of nature. I notice in a lot of his drawings, they're technical, but in a way that's very unique to the human form. It's definitely a lot of observing and not intrinsically knowing. And you can see that in some of his golden ratio stuff, kind of like Da Vinci-esque works of symmetry and how to manipulate symmetry to look alive. It's a very broad feeling of life. I feel like life, honestly, when you look at it, you see living, breathing things, and I was just about to say the same thing as nature, but take that one step further and just be like encompassing life forms and the breathing something.
I love that. Matt is more intimate with this because I'm just your regular art Jill. You know, I'm like, oh, pretty. But Matt, when there's 100 scrolls, and no one has seen the initial working drawings that he did before he did these paintings, and so I can't open them because I have little hobbit fingers and I'll ruin them. So, I mean, Matt has a more intimate connection with James, you know, in this last 8 months, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all that said, but I would also include, I think, his understanding of connection between humans and nature and vice versa. Like, so often we always hear about how humans are damaging nature, that we're, run against it, even philosophies of, people saying the more human you are, or the more civilized you are, the further you are from nature.
Right.
Where he puts those back together again and says, no, we are living expressive humans in a living expressive world, and we are not separate, we are connected and linked. And his connection with other people, his models, his subject matter, and nature itself, to me it's just all about connection. And you just see like a really deep resonance of heart and seeing and belonging in the world that I think is really missing.
I love that, and I think that is beyond being a master painter. That is his legacy, because I think what we forget as human beings, that we are nature. I mean, I took a face plant in Eureka the other day. Somewhere. Anyway, but this magically, it repairs itself. Mm-hmm. I mean, we are this whole life force of any leaf out there, of any tree, of any blade of grass, and he really is asking you all in these times we have where everything on this planet seems to be a commodity, to look at it as a living, breathing entity that has spirit. Mm-hmm. And I think he does convey that.
But with that spirit, everything has layers, just like in your painting.
Right.
So, one of the deals, one of the lessons that I had, I was trying to figure out, I loved how he did flesh, and I wanted to learn how he did flesh. First painting I ever saw of his before I met him, I was standing in front of it crying. And I thought crying, seeing a painting, was something that foo-foo people did. And I felt stupid because it was in a store. Anyway, and he walked in. But anyway, when he told me to when you're thinking of flesh or anything else, it's never one layer. You're only seeing the surface, or how everything blends together when you're looking at the top. He said, you have to slow down and look and see. He said, under that skin, there's lots of different colors that make up what you're seeing on top. Right. So don't get caught up in what you see on the surface. Always dig deeper.
I love that because, and that's passing this on to Rhiannon. We're going to do an interview in just a little bit before Matt heads off to his new digs, and we found in the scrolls the other day, I found the working drawings of his self-portrait with the nautilus shell. And when you look at that painting, you see the veins in his face. You see, life running through that painting. And so you actually, that emotional impact. I mean, all three of you never met James Yale. Well, you did.
I did.
Well,
I took lessons from him.
You're his really good friends. But these two, to the next generation, they have not. So what is that emotional impact for you two?
It's definitely life-changing. And I don't really say that super lightly, because at 19, everything is life-changing. But, just...
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. I appreciate it. At ease. But this has definitely changed a big trajectory in my life. Before I had met you and talked with you about art, I was just doing it for fun. And, pastels and whatever. And then I felt like I got taught by James, even though he wasn't even alive. Like, that's how much impact he had, how much community he had. Going from just fooling around, I had been doing art for 4 years at that point. So going from fooling around, making basically glorified fan art, to going to a whole museum showing, being part of the Generational Journeys Project, doing interviews for National Archives, like, that is crazy to me.
I know.
But you're going to continue to change.
Absolutely. And
you're going to continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And you need that freedom to move into all those different areas of art, not get contained into one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I say that, and I've gotten contained into one, but when I was with Mr. Yale, he had a way of making you feel free in your mind. The captivities that we place on ourselves, the imprisonment that we put on ourselves. He had a way of relieving that so that you could explore other areas. And if I brought up, I had this idea, what about we were going to do a planter of me. and my head was going to be the planter. And he was like, yes, I'll go get the stuff. We'll do the casting and everything. And he was so excited. He had a boyish charm about his willingness to try something new. And if I thought of something, well, let's try it. And if it didn't work, well, why didn't it work?
Mm-hmm.
That's the scientist.
Yeah.
And it was like coming into where your imagination could run wild in the art world. He wasn't afraid or confined to any one set piece of art structure, if that makes sense. He had structure in his oil work and in his, I'm not meaning that he's loose, because he was very structured and very controlled and very meticulous, but he wasn't afraid to be adventurous. And if he saw something new, he wanted to capture it. Because you're going to look at something that you looked at 100 times, and then you're going to see it a little different, and you're going to go, wow, I didn't see that before.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, when you see his paintings, you could see them 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at them, you're going to see something that you didn't see before. And that's where the master lies. That's the difference.
I want to turn that over to Matt, because he is really going down to the nitty gritty right now with that.
Yeah, like with his drawings. Because you can't fake a drawing. Like painting, you can add a layer and layer. Mistake, I'll just add another layer. Painting you could always rework, but a drawing, it's just so immediate, so right there on the surface, and you see the character of his line. You see the strength of his hand. And yeah, there's nothing left to hide. It's just right there,
raw.
On his face. Raw. Yeah, just lovely. And in fact, in some ways I almost like the drawings better because of that. I know that there were no takebacks. There were no do-overs. And one thing I was going to say is, looking at his work and, and the inspiration that is given to Rhiannon and everyone, I see his work as being just very holistic. He lived... It wasn't so much about art necessarily, other than living authentically as a human in a world of connection.
Oh, definitely.
And he, because he was an artist and scientist, it was all of it at once. And so, like you said, that the days when he said, if you're ever feeling bad or down, look for the smallest thing that you could observe, and from there just blossom out to all these possibilities. Yeah, it's just a lovely approach to life that I resonate with. And in fact, I feel like working with James's work, and it's a lot of ways working with James, is a continuation of my journey, because working with the artist, my mentor, Ralph Irwin, very similar generation, similar background, similar sense of wonder, and that childlike sense of wonder that just never gets old.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I could see it in his work, and I saw it in my past mentor. And so, no, it very much... It finds a very deep place in me to see his work and to work with it.
The word authentic is one of, if you're going to do like a word salad of James, is that when he died and I started writing this book about our story, this voice said to me, just tell the truth. And that goes with James's life, no matter, against all odds, it has to be authentic. We talked about this.
Truthful of everything.
Just tell the truth,
That's right.
because if I, pass down the next generations, it's like your only job is to, in your sculpture is to cut away what you're not and learn what you are. And, this, against all odds, he kept going as an artist.
Yeah, he amazed me.
Well,
when I first met him, I had made the statement. I said, I don't know if I can draw a straight line according to how you paint. He says he was on his cane and had his pipe, and he says, I shake a lot. He goes, I couldn't draw a straight line anyway. He said, there's nothing straight.
Right. But the other thing for this next generation, he did not have art schools. Mm-mm. He did not have encouraging parents about his artwork.
No, just the opposite.
Exactly. But he still rose to be James Yale, I mean? So I think that's the other legacy I want to see him pass on to the next generation, to free to be who you are going to be.
He was true to himself.
True to himself. Yeah. Against all odds.
Yeah.
And against physicality, because these paintings behind you, in 1989 he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Mm-hmm. And so for 35 years, he got every day. He was a working artist.
He was a workaholic.
Well, he had to be, because he had to keep a roof over Allison's head.
Yeah,
our daughter. And, but also he said yes to so much stuff because of that curiosity you're talking about.
Yeah.
If someone had a commission, it's like, the first CD, like, what's a CD? We don't know what CDs are. He did the first artist artwork on it. Or the bus that he did that was at the rotunda at the Capitol building when Bill Clinton was the governor at the time, doing the bust of Faye Jones, that he would take on a project, and you're right, he
was fearless in it.
He was fearless. Exactly.
And I would say his working with the collection and being here on the property, the spirit that is here alone is amazing. And my work is completely transformed. You talk about authentic. My work looks very different than it ever has. And I feel like for the first time, I've been a professional artist for 24 years and teaching for 14 years. And I feel like I'm now arriving at what I feel like is truly authentic to me, so much that as I'm drawing, I'm learning stuff from what is developing. And it looks nothing like James's work, because it's not what it's about. It's about the spirit of what James is doing and his authenticity and sense of connection that is really influencing my work in a way that is very surprising to me. And so I can't wait to see where things go.
I mean, for me, because I'm learning, like all of these people that watch these videos or call us each week with a new rediscovered art piece and the stories behind it. And, it's more than a widow's journey. I am absolutely engaged because it is one of the most extraordinary gifts I've been given to uncover these stories and to, they say, oh, you can't meet friends when you're an elder. It's like, oh, poo. That's not true. I mean, every person that comes into our life becomes our family. I don't want to make this go on and on and on, but I want to ask you, what specific themes do you think he communicated with people through his art? Because this one above Rhiannon, the fallen angel of war and peace, especially today of all days, where you wake up and now we're visiting Iran. This one, we're going to do this year the creative storytelling invitational, where people fall into a painting and come up with their own stories. Next year, I want it to be this one where we invite people that are veterans, because there's so much going on in this painting, but it was important to him that he waited 3 years to meet this model, to bring this model into this realm that now it's his masterpiece. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm asking, the Dr. Spock painting, all of that. It wasn't just pretty pictures. There were certain things that he had to work out through his artwork.
I think I can personally speak on that one, because the guy who did it, or the guy who modeled for it, Scotty, was my uncle's friend. And
isn't that magical how
right?
you're in my life? I mean, this this just happens. And that's the other journey I'm on. I don't want to interrupt you, but if you all think that there is not magic afoot, when we're going to go back to this word authentic, when you are moving from the heart and not the dollar bill, like this angel is being tempted, the universe starts driving the bus. Get on it.
Yeah, especially, I think it speaks to also a level of connection that he had with his community, because, going through the interviews and writing the essay about him, he worked on sketches for Bentonville buildings. He was architect, woodworker, all these things, and obviously that's going to have some overlap with and it's very, I'm assuming in the 70s, I was not alive then, but I had about 30 more years to go, but, it's probably not a great art scene in rural Arkansas, you know what I mean?
Might be wrong about that. Eureka was a hoppin'.
Eureka! That's about the only place I can think of was Eureka. And
there's all those people, there's artists that are in their house that you'll never hear about.
In their house, yeah.
You'll never hear about them. I mean, my mentor painted her dreams, never had a show until she was 87. Yeah, and now they just won Emmy for Sarah Joyce, a regional Emmy in Seattle.
That's awesome. But yeah, just the fact that he could make that much of a connection outside of even his life, like his lifespan, it's really cool. But specifically, the themes that he attempts to communicate in his work are very metaphorical. Like they're real things, but they're not going to be myths. Yeah, they're not going to be spelled out to you. You have to see it and not just know it. Because you can see that it's just like, it's just a dude. He's got a machine gun, but what it represents is and what the layers are. Because he not only layered the paintings, but he layered the metaphors.
Yes.
That's very much true.
Mm-hmm. So.
And it fit whoever's looking at it.
It fits whoever is looking at it. Yeah. So, and again, like when a veteran who had seen just really hard war, and they would see this painting, they would come up to him and just say, "Thank you," because he captured it.
Yeah.
Because the first, like we've said this in other interviews, the first archangels were not fluffy little women. Mm-hmm. They were here to keep the cosmic order, and he has seen us do it over and over and over again. When are we going to get off that loop?
Yeah.
And that's what he's trying to say to you in that painting.
And I think, honestly, if I had to summarize the themes of his paintings in like one thing, it would just be the complexity of humans. Because it captures such a all of his paintings capture such a broad range, but they're all specific genres of their own suffering or joy or sadness, and they all complete each other in the diversity of the human experience.
Are you sure you're 19? And a lot of them, he is working out his own sadness, in some of these, especially with that one. What would James want to be remembered for, do you think?
Honestly, not to talk too much, but I asked Rachel about this. That was one of my questions in the interview, and I think what she said was, I think he want to be remembered as a loving human first. And I feel like that's a really good answer. There are so many times when we think of him as a Renaissance man, and we take it at surface value of what his craft was, but at the end of the day, there's a person behind it, and that person had all sorts of thoughts outside of art and suffering outside of art, and this is the way he processes and views the world, but it's not how I guess he lived it. Like, he lived a different life outside of just the things he produced. I feel like, honestly, first, loving human, and second, masterful artist.
Well, in his art, I'm sitting here looking at all the different things that we have around us right now. In his art, you see serious subjects. You see a serious level of execution. But you also see that it's a form of communication that can't be silenced. So while he didn't have the encouragement and push to go further exterior, he had it interior, and he also had a great sense of humor, an interesting viewpoint of things, and in his artwork he couldn't be silenced.
That's right. That's very good. And, gallery for you.
I think his artwork is an invitation to see more and to reveal a world that is with us, but I think so much of us are blinded to it, or maybe we don't accept that it's possible. And so he reveals the possible in a way that helps guide us to see more, to feel more, to be more connected. And so I think I see that in a lot of his work. I think the mythology he takes and makes it very Arkansan, which again places us in a time and space and to the land in a way that just builds that connection. But yes, I think through his work you see more, you feel more, you experience more.
Right. And then, for me, the idea every morning is to empty myself to the magic afoot. It makes the day just a treasure hunt. I'm not hunting, but it reveals. And then one of the things that I know that it's so nice that I've given you carte blanche to a studio. And
I'm envious, by the way.
well, there's easels set up, but I'll tell you, there is, for people to think that magic is not here, we're always looking for it. But it is here. When someone out of the blue gives me a call, or it's just like I just feel like there's so much magic on this land. And when life is getting out of control, just go outside. He had a little magnifying glass to look deeply into that flower. Now we have these little fancy schmancy phones. Go take a picture of that little flower on the side of the road and see the magic that comes out of that.
And
It was your phone.
It's okay.
There's a quote by what's his name? Not Neil Gaiman, but the one he wrote the book with. Oh my gosh, I cannot remember his name. There's a quote that I really like, and it says, "Magic doesn't stop being magic because you know how it works." I feel like that's a really cool quote, and it's like, if we see so many things and we're just like, oh, that's normal. It's normal that like flowers bloom and they can do photosynthesis and like chrysalises happen, and like it's like once you like really deconstruct it, you know how it technically works. But magic isn't magic because of mysticism. Magic is magic because it happens miraculously, and there are processes behind it because nothing just happens. But knowing the processes does not inhibit the magic itself. And I feel like that's really cool.
Well, as we go on this legacy project, and I thank you all for being on this journey with me, is that we will keep exploring how the curtain was pulled back for James Yale. So many animals go extinct right now every day. Do we think there weren't mythical creatures at one time? Are we the only smart human beings in the box with thousands of galaxies out there? It's like, let's just see what is revealed as we keep doing this. You all, I thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this, and thank you for being in my life. James would have been your mentor, and I get her now, and you are such a treasure. You and Matt. Rachel, learned all the magic and technology around mixing colors and how he sees light and all of that. So there's a conversation between the two of you, and then looking at some of these paintings that were damaged in galleries, the idea of restoration. I want to keep this conversation going with all of us. So thank you all for being part of the James Yale Legacy Project. Oh wait.
Thank you.
She doesn't get enough time on the camera.